Hi friends, and happy Monday, the week before Christmas. All of our little hearts should be all warm and fuzzy and excited. And this is Vlogmas Day 19.
Meanwhile, a few hours earlier, the sun was rising on the frozen domain, and little Miss Yarding for a Smile was just waking up from her long night sleep.
It is grocery buying day, and it is also the week of Christmas, which means it is going to be extremely peoply and very crowded, and probably a lack of employees at the stores, which means standing in line time. But I'm going early this morning, hoping to bypass some of that. However, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get this edited today, because when I get home, I've really got to research some colors and decide on what I want my exterior to be, my trim, and my roof, because I'm going tomorrow to put the down payment on my yarn barn so it can be built. Before any of that can take place, we've got to open some Advents, so let's jump right in. So, starting with jelly. This is the 19th, right? Okay. These poor Advent calendars are really looking sad. So day 19 says love and a laugh. And today's is orange cinnamon spread, which, yum. Anything with cinnamon makes me happy. So we're going to go ahead and jump into the coffee calendar. Calendars. And when I go to Walmart today, I'm going to see if they have any more of these and if they are on sale. And I have to buy coffee for myself this week, so if they are on sale, I'm going to grab me one, because even then it'll be cheaper than buying 24 cups of K-Cups regular, and it's a little bit fun. So 19 is up here. It looks like it's going to be a fun flavor. Holiday blend. Okay, so I know in the past the statement, the ever so bold statement, that I am not a blend kind of person. However, I'm thinking, because this is a holiday blend, that there could be something there. Maybe not, but there could be. And we're going to go with could be. I would like to think that great value is keeping the momentum up of being awesome, opposed to Keurig. I don't know though. But speaking of Keurig, and their 24 cups of non-cheer, we've had like 4 cups of chewer. Today's coffee of the day for them is, non-cheer. I mean, granted it's a Krispy Kreme brand, but it's just Krispy Kreme Classic. So, I'm going to go, I think the Keurig has only brought me like 2 days of cheer. For David's tea, we have a vanilla bean black. And I'm really going to like that, because I do love black tea. I think it's going to be a winner. I think so. Okay, so before we go any further in the craftiness of the Advents, let's talk about my hat, because my hat is hiding all the crazy bed hair that I was not even going to try to fix yet. And to be honest, I'm probably not going to try to fix before I go to buy groceries. I'll probably just do this little number, because I do have really curly hair. Although, depending on how I go to bed and how wet it is, some side may be flatter than the other one, which is typically what happens. I should probably prevent that so I don't wake up looking like a crazy person. But it's probably not going to happen either. Hats are a great way to hide the hair crazy, and that is what's being done here. This is called Dots and Lines by Jesslyn Lervaska, and it is a fun knit little pattern. I use hedgehog fibers, merino DK, in making it in the colorway Artifact, but it has some slip stitch detail, and those slip stitches kind of let colors pop at the right time without making it look muddy. And I get so many compliments on this hat when I wear it. And now let's get into the craft portion of Advent Calendar, starting off with the Jimmy Beans Craftvent. And like I mentioned yesterday, that I'm just going to open this and not really focus on it right now. This afternoon I hope to put the poor thing back together because I have a lot of drawers in the kitchen with the yarn in them. But for right now, it's fine. So today in the Craftvent on day 19, we have a measuring tape. And this has gnomes on it, which I can appreciate because I love gnomes. Day 19 in Emma's yarn. So this is another pinkish red color. There is some orange highlights in it. It's very, very pretty. Day 19 with Molly. This one's dyed very pretty too. It's kind of the same color scheme like I've seen before, with some blues and purples, but it's very pretty. Day 7 of Craftvent is like this thin, big envelope looking thing. Head size for reference. It kind of feels like a calendar. I kind of hope it's a calendar. Is that just wishful thinking? I think Bonnie's got me spoiled. No, it's not a calendar. So this is wrapping paper. And this one says Merry Christmas, Snuggle Cozy. And that's one page you get. This one has some houses and some homes and some gnomes. Okay, but this does have these really cute snowmen that have yarn on them that says Hobby Lobby. And this one's just like a Fair Isle print. So, immediately my mind goes to what these are going to be used for. I'm thinking, when I get my tree set up in the yarn shed for Craftvent, something fun is going to happen with these. And I know it's going to be. So stay tuned and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you can see what's going to happen in 2023. Just kidding, there's more. Wait, don't go. There's cute little gift tags. And there's some more washi. This washi has little houses on it. Alright, so let's talk Yarn Barn. Because there's going to be a lot of Yarn Barn talk probably from here going forward. I mentioned yesterday that I'm going to be doing a playlist, kind of like Vlogmas, that's going to have dedicated craftiness related to the Yarn Barn and getting that set up. Because I do want it to be a resource for those who are coming in after me, who's wanting to do something similar, or even to transfer a room in their house as a craft room. And I'm hoping this gives you some insight, saves you some time as far as researching, and just give you some overall inspiration. Because I'm a researcher at heart. Like, I love to research and I love to plan out things, if you haven't noticed that already. Huge planner. It kind of makes my husband batty, but at the same time he appreciates it because I'm able to save money by planning ahead and figuring out exactly what processes are going to happen when, so there's not any backtracking. So, number one thing in my situation is obviously acquiring the building that is going to be the Yarn Barn, which is going to be a shed that I am renovating. And I'm having this shed built. So this shed is going to be 12 foot wide and it's going to be 28 feet long. It's going to be big, which is amazing. With them, you get typically 2 windows and a door. I am swapping out the double barn doors because I'm afraid that, number one, it's not going to have a tight enough seal to prevent bugs. And number two, I want something more like studio house looking opposed to shed looking. So I'm actually getting a real door that has some glass panes on the window to allow for extra light. Also, I'm adding 2 windows, so I'll have 2 windows in the front and 2 windows in the back, and that will allow for better natural lighting. Another thing to consider is the location of where you're putting this. If you're actually doing a external studio, yarn barn, whatever you want to call it, like I am. So for me, because I'm a plant lover and I know I want to have plants out there, I want to maneuver it and place it in a way that I'm getting sunlight that is going to be beneficial for the plants that I have. I would like to put my bigger cactuses out there. I have an African milk cactus and I have a Peruvian cactus, apple cactus, and I want those to go out there. So cactuses really need to be in a southeast facing window to get full sun for proper growth, which east is kind of that way, west is that way, north, south. So I'm going to actually have mine kind of catty-cornered over where the kids' play yard used to be so that I'll get southeast facing light through the back windows. And that should give me pretty good light for my cactuses, I hope. During the summer, I'll probably push those onto the front porch of it for more sun, and I've already figured out how I'm going to do my porch. I want to try to make it out of pallets and do a little DIY there just to cut costs. I don't know if my husband's going to be down with that because he's kind of vetoed some previous pallet projects I've had in the past. I don't know why, but we'll see. I'm pretty sure at this point he's just going to be like, whatever. That's what happens when you get older. You just kind of like whatever to your spouse. Like, whatever you want, just go do it. So obviously that's step 1 for me, which involves me going to put the down payment down because it's only going to take like a week or so for them to build this thing because they build it inside of a building and then they bring it out to me. The problem is we've got to do some leveling off on the land over there because number 1, it's going to cut costs of them doing it, and number 2, there's a drainage behind our house that we need to fix. So those things have to be done first. But in saying that, I should have my yarn barn mid-January to the end of January, which seems like a long way away, but that's less than like 3 or 4 weeks, which is pretty exciting. So once the yarn barn gets here, step 2 is going to be sealing electrical, not sealing, but sealing electrical. So I'm going to go around with caulk or expansion foam. I haven't decided which one. I kind of want to do expansion foam just because it's going to get in a little bit better, but I think it's going to be a little more expensive, and I'm not sure if I want to go that way. Caulking is going to take a little bit longer because I'm going to have to shove it in cracks, but it could be the cheaper route. So I need to play those factors into my mind and finalize that decision so I can buy it all because I have to buy enough for the whole project. But what I'm going to do is go around each 2x4 on the inside frame and caulk all the way around the entire thing. It's a lot of work, but it's for great purposes. Number 1, it's going to keep out bugs because they're not going to have any cracks come in. Number 2, it's going to seal any kind of areas where air can get in or that you can lose air. So it's going to help my heating and cooling cost. And this thing will be heated and cooled. So once those processes get done, then I can go into wiring, which will involve figuring out where I want to put my plugs and how to do my light fixtures. I want to have a ceiling fan out there because I am in Alabama, and in the spring, all I may need to do is crack a window and turn the ceiling fan on. But to do that, I would like to have it ran off a separate plug than the cam lights that I want to install in the roof. And I will be installing these LED cam lights that we just put in our bedroom. They're awesome. They're dimmable, and you can change the color tone of the lights to more of a daylight or a warmer light. I mean, they're amazing, and they're really not expensive. I think out there I want to do possibly 6, 2 in the corners and then 2 in the middle, and have them on their own light switch, and then have the ceiling fan on its separate light switch. That's my goals for that. Then after that, I will need to build out my faux wall. And yes, I'm putting a wall in there because it's 28 feet long. I'm gonna have space, but I want to create a faux closet in a sense. So on one side of the building, I'm going to pull out about 3 feet and I'm going to put a wall going across. My goal is to do an archway entry to that section kind of on the side, which will leave me a good bit of wall to put some storage units on, and I want to paint that a focal color. I also want to get a piece of wood board, sand it and stain it to go on top, so I don't have to try to make the wall go all the way to the ceiling, because that's going to cut the space in half, and it's also going to make the walls and the ceiling come down lower. And I don't want that. I want it to look big. And that would kind of help with that, like, overall feeling, which is going to involve a lot of drywall, puttying, which is fine. Then, once I get that built up with the 2x4s, and I get one side of that, then it is time to add my insulation. This also is going to involve me going under the shed and stapling insulation to the floor, adding a moisture barrier, and then figuring out the insulation for the roof. So the interior roof, I have two options. Number one, I can put drywall up there and make it a paintable surface, kind of like the roof you have in your house now. Option two is I think I'm going to try to do like a faux tongue and groove pine wood to make it have a color variance. So the inside walls are probably going to be a shade of white because I'm going to have a lot of color accents. And I love the way that white makes a room feel even bigger than it is. And when you add a darker color to that, and especially angled like this roof is, it's going to make your eye look up, and it's going to make it look taller than it actually is. Now, tongue and groove planks can get a little expensive, but there are some faux options out there, which is what I'm looking into, almost like a paneling. But that's why it's so important to have your electrical done before that process gets started, so you already have your lights in place and you can cut your paneling or your boards, pop them up. So once that gets done, then I can drywall, sand everything, paint everything, and then it's time to talk about flooring. Flooring is where money goes. Typical laminate flooring, which is what I'm going to be doing, runs about $350 to $450 a yard. There's 366 square feet. And I've actually picked up some color choices that are on clearance right now. So my goal is when I get to this point is to find some on clearance in a shade I like, whether it's at a local store or online. Order just a little bit more than I need and to accommodate for bad cuts or just damage down the road. But I want to go with something like this. So this is hazelnut maple. I love something like that with a little bit of gray in the brown and the the knots in the wood, but it's faux knots. Something like this, which is more of a gray color, but it still has the knots in the wood, but it's almost a lighter color. And I like this choice because, again, that white and matte white walls is going to make the eye go up and see the tall ceilings. This one would still work though because I can do a little bit of lighter stain on that faux paneling, or if I find one like a lighter pine, I think it'll look really nice. Once I get that in, then it'll be time to move in. And at some point during all that, I have to build a porch. And the porch, I want it to be open on the sides and just have above the doorway with a roof. That way it doesn't block any light from the windows. After I get drywall up, I'll also need to frame out my windows with molding, which that's not a big deal. So that's the process. It's all before I can move in. But I think it would be fun to blog all this. But a lot of this stuff is, I find it very interesting. It's something that I enjoy. And number two, it's for the ultimate goal of having a craft room yarn barn. But I've got to figure out colors today. And I put up on my community tab some color choices I was originally looking at that I thought were what I had to choose from. Because on their website where I go to build this shed, they have like your color options. And so I called this guy. Well, I sent him a text. And I was asking him where I can find samples of this paint and this roof so I can get an idea of what I want. Because a lot of times the color you see on your screen is really not the color it looks like in real life. And he was like, oh no. You can go to any Sherwin-Williams and pick out whatever color you want for your walls and your trim. And it was like the little light bulb above my head came on. And my husband was sitting next to me and he was like, oh God, this is going to be horrible. Because he knows how slightly indecisive I can be when it comes to things like this. So I pulled out some color samples that I had and I began looking at those. Because since this whole thing started, I've envisioned this thing being a dark blue or possibly, I know this is going to sound crazy, black. Yeah, I said it. I have learned over the years that I have a very particular color palette that I am drawn to. I like things that have clean, open neutrals and a little bit of boho with a little bit of mid-century modern. So I've been adding some color things to my Pinterest board for Craftroom / She Shed, and I don't know if I said I would share that down below yesterday, but I will make sure I share it down below today. And if I ever forget to add a link, please let me know, because it happens. I forget these things. I don't mean to. I also really want to find a comfortable love seat to put out there to sit on and relax. I'll have my desk chair, which is like a white faux leather, and then I have this vintage velour chair that one of my parents' old neighbors gave me before she moved, because I helped take down stuff off her walls because she couldn't reach it. I'm always being used for my height. And it's got this floral print on there, which is super vintage, but I love it. It's got a lot of pinks in it and greens. And again, I'm usually not a pink person, but I just think it's kind of pretty. So I want that to go out there. But I would love to get a velour solid piece little love seat to, coordinate with that chair. I've always wanted a velour chair, and I just think it would be a fun fabric and texture to bring in with all the other fun textures and colors of the yarn. I did find this really cool rug at IKEA that I really want, but it's $200, so I've got to try to find a cheaper version or wait for that to go on sale. And I'll post a picture of it here because it's super fun. It just screams Craftroom to me. I think it'll be fun. So that's the game plan. Okay, friends, so the Great Value Advent Calendar that I speak of so awesomely every day is on sale for $10.93 at my Walmart. So if you want to get one, mine only has 4 left, but I'm obviously getting one. So just a heads up. But look at all the Keurig. Do you know why? Because it's horrible. Captain's log. I made it through Walmart, but then I realized I had to do a pickup for a present, and you can't pick it up in the store. So I had to get in my car, move my car, and come to a parking space to get my order. And now I have to wait. I'm pretty sure the crew back on the ship are gonna go carnivorous and eat each other because they're probably thinking there's no food in the refrigerator.